Hey, so welcome all of you to this chat on superfoods, and we'll be letting people in as we go because obviously it's after work here in the UK or early in the morning if you're the other side of the world. So I'm Caroline Gaskin, and today we're going to talk about superfoods with my lovely friend Fiona.
Hey everybody, welcome. And it's the run up to Easter as well. So I think we're all thinking a little bit about feasting and cooking and Easter eggs. So it's quite a good time for us to focus down on what's good for us and what supports us at menopause. So
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, some and also I guess the first thing which we were just discussing is you tried a superfood, hadn't you, Fiona, and not felt great on it. And I'm definitely not drawn to certain superfoods that are around. A friend today messaged me and said, "So, what about creatine?" And I was like, "Okay, well, there's good creatine and bad creatine, and it is a bit of a, well, I say bad, not very good quality, but it also is a bit of a buzz at the moment. I mean, it just wasn't a word that was being used about 6 months ago, so 9 months ago. So there's kind of always new things around, and so we're being advertised to, promoted to continually, and are they appropriate for us? And I think the biggest thing to say about herbs and superfoods compared to homeopathy, which me and Fiona are well versed in, and we're both homeopaths, it is that superfoods and herbs and foods in general are material substances, and so they will have an effect, what I call a push shove effect. They will make something happen or they will stop something from happening in the body because they are a material substance. And Fiona, yeah, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's just I think we're living in this very Instagram, society where stuff pops up on your Instagram and then it keeps popping up and then you get influencers talking about it and it becomes like you're so driven towards taking these things and they come in big fads. One of the things I'm getting loads at the moment is L-theanine, which is a sleep support and a relaxant. And L-theanine makes me feel absolutely terrible. I know that because of the way that I've done my DNA testing and I've had a look at my methylation cycle. And L-theanine is a real problem for some people. But it's funny
Mhm,
because you feel like this shouldn't be happening. Everything I've read says this thing is amazing. I am the oddity. And what you don't realize,
mhm.
40% of people taking this, that it really doesn't suit. So although these messages are so convincing and so strong, it's just come back to yourself, what works for you, and perhaps borrow a few out of someone else's tub, one of your friends, rather than going 36 quid on a jar that you're never going to use again as well. But we are in this relentless push of supplements at the moment. And I think we're all a bit overwhelmed and kind of, I mean, I get suckered into it and yeah, into what the latest thing is and try it out. So I dread.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I think it's also good to understand what it is in something and why that might be helpful for us or not. And like you say, what's our individual makeup, our DNA, how able is our microbiome to absorb the nutrients that are available in the food that we're already eating. I mean, that's where I like to start from is how diverse is the gut flora, how efficient is the gut before we start to reach for something else expensive. And I just wanted to, one of the top things on my list of superfoods to consider or look at was acerola, which is a very vitamin C rich fruit. Now, there are many fruits that are vitamin C rich, and acerola certainly doesn't grow in England on my doorstep. How about an apple? Why might I need vitamin C? Vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin, as are the B vitamins. And I'm just going to ask Fiona something about B vitamins in a minute because it's one of our kind of pet peeves at the moment. But we definitely need to share it. But you know what I'm thinking about, don't you, Fiona? But the B vitamins and the C and vitamin C are water soluble, and we need to replace them and replenish them on a regular basis. So everybody needs vitamin C for good immunity, but it's also used to make collagen. So if we want to do something with that collagen supplement, that is, being marketed to me at the moment, then how's my vitamin C? Is that included in my diet? Can I get it from apples and oranges, or do I really need to reach for a superfood that's rich in vitamin C? So yes, vitamin C is really important. Is acerola that comes from the other side of the world, and what's its carbon footprint, and blah blah blah? Is that really what I need to go to for my vitamin C? And those B vitamins, I'm finding, and I'm sure Fiona's the same, that I'm finding that people are needing the B vitamins much more post COVID than we used to. And whether that's because we are in a high stress state or because the COVID has really affected our nervous system, I don't necessarily know at this stage, because that's a fairly new conversation. But what I do see is that people need the B9 folate, and they need B12 to repair and regenerate the DNA, which has been affected by COVID itself, long COVID, and the COVID vaccine. So the DNA and the RNA likes a decent amount of B vitamins, the B9 and the B12, to repair itself, to be repaired. And so other things that do that job, but that is really, really important. And where are we getting those elements from? If we're truly vegan, we're not going to get the B12, so we might need to reach for a supplement. And Fiona and I are both concerned about what's about to be put into our flour, because most people don't methylate the format well. Do you want to talk about that, Fiona? Because
Yeah. So with B vitamins are tricky because I think I mentioned my methylation cycle. That's how well you break down certain substances, particularly B vitamins, and why some people are sort of always short in them and why some people need more of them. So when we're thinking about B vitamins, it's important that we choose a really high quality supplement if we choose one, and maybe even start with something gentler than going straight in with a B supplement, which is going in with if you're not vegetarian or vegan, going in with a beef organ mix. So you can get actual capsules, a normal size, looks like a normal supplement, which will contain dried beef liver, beef heart, beef kidney. And those are a great way to get your B vitamins, because they're completely bioavailable. The body's been dealing with them for millennia, knows how to break them down, and they've got the right amount of zinc and choline and CoQ10 that we need. And they're not going to trigger us in the same way as when you take the wrong B vitamin, which can really cause quite a lot of problems. And coming back to your point, which links in, is that I've been sharing this quite a lot, but the UK this year has mandated that all white flour must now have synthetic folic acid added to it. Now, folic acid is something that I'm sure we've all heard about in pregnancy. We were told we needed to take it. And it's something you'll always find included in a B complex. And it can be called folate, methylfolate, folinic acid. The problem with it is it's basically something we get in green vegetables. But the problem with it is when it becomes synthetic is that it can become very difficult for about 40% of the population to break down. It starts building up in their blood, and then it starts masking your B12 deficiency. So basically, it kind of blocks everything up. It causes problems to 40% of people. And now we're going to see it added to all our white flour products in the UK. It's extensively added in the US and in many other countries as well. So there's now this sort of mission that we all have to run around trying to, I have to go to the supermarket with my specs on and read the tiny label where you'll see the words folic acid written. And it's really not a great idea. In a good quality supplement, they will have put in a good quality bioavailable form of folic acid, which is often called methylfolate or 5-MTFR. But where it just says folic acid, that means it will be the synthetic one. And I mean, that's 40% of us that it's not going to be good for, and we won't be getting the vitamin that we need. So I'm really sort of despairing about having been added to everything. It feels kind of overwhelming, and it's really difficult to avoid.
Yeah, absolutely. And that I'm just thinking, that's Gales, that's Marks and Spencer's, that's Sainsbury's, that's Asda, everywhere one might shop from top to bottom. It's not like Waitrose is exclusive here. It's like this is a mandate that's going into all white flour, and we need to try and do something about it, and that sidestep it. And that's not easy, is it?
No, it feels like sometimes they're making life so hard. You just want to eat food without very many pesticides.
Yeah.
We just want, some clean food, some clean water, some clean flour. Is it too much to ask? And it seems like, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. I just want to add something on B vitamins in green foods. So some of you might know that I'm a big fan of green superfoods. So things like, wheatgrass, the blue-green algae, Craxel chlorella. What else was I just thinking of? They're the main ones that I work with. Alfalfa, even. And these, particularly the blue-green algae, is very B vitamin rich. And I'd been taking that for years, but still needed to take. Someone's written says I'm very quiet, but Fiona easily. I might just be, I'm a bit far from my laptop. Can everyone hear me? Jesse, do you want to wave at me? Yeah. Sharon, yeah, cool. Might just be something on your speaker, Helen. Thank you for that, though. But yeah, so even at menopause, I really needed to address that in terms of diet, and I wasn't doing well on basically what was a vegan diet, and having the blue green algae was great, but when I got right into the pitch of it, I needed to do something about diversifying my protein source. And that meant that in order to kind of save my thyroid and get through menopause, I needed to eat eggs 3 times a week and fish twice a week. So I did have to attend to that quite specifically. And now I do eat animal protein, which I didn't for a very, very long time. But I feel much better on it. I feel more robust on it. So making those changes to our diet needs to be evaluated, assessed, tweaked. Is something that you were using for years still working for you, etc. So that was a little question about gluten free and the folate, wasn't it?
Yeah, so there are some flours that are going to be okay. It's only white flour, so it's not supposed to be added to gluten-free flour or to wholemeal flour or to spelt flour. But actually,
Mhm.
some companies have already started just adding it to wholemeal. It must come out of the mill, and they're like, "Oh, we're putting it in the white. We'll just put it in this as well."
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
have
so it's about processing maybe, and yeah.
Yeah, so just read the labels, I think, is if you want to find the flour. And I think the flour kind of, if you get, a packet of good quality flour in your house, that's great. But I think it's like, as Caroline says, it's like, how are you going to get a sandwich on a train? I mean, it's okay to have eat one dose of it a day, even with the worst methylation profile. But it's just eating it, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, snacks.
Yeah.
That's where it's going to really start to build up.
Yeah. Yeah, my methylation profile, I think that would probably say no thanks as well. So
Yeah.
another superfood actually for B vitamins that I really like is bee pollen. So,
Mm.
a little kind of scant level teaspoon of bee pollen on your breakfast, for instance, that is a really great support for adrenals. It's rich in B vitamins, and it's also actually an immune boost. So, with any of these things, we need to try them for a period of time. But if you immediately don't feel great on something, as Fiona said with L-theanine, it's like that's not for you. I am a little bit like that with turmeric. I don't metabolize turmeric well, and that is in my DNA profile. So, sometimes it comes down to knowing a little bit more about ourselves, which we only bother to inquire once we get to menopause and things begin to go a bit wrong, or wonky. Anything else on the beef organs, Fiona? I like that.
They're just very nutrient dense. I saw them described recently as nature's, what was it? Nature's multivitamin. So they're like an ultimate multivitamin, kind of in another way. And I saw someone had produced a new product. It was only one of these online things that you could only get by subscription. It
Hmm.
was a bag of beef protein powder mixed with the desiccated organs through it. So the idea being that you get a scoop of it, you put it in your smoothie or you put it in your stew. And it gives you this kind of complete, it had collagen in it as well. So it gave you this very
Mm,
nutrient dense pack.
yeah.
client was looking at it. I mean, I had a sort of, I broke it down by price and what the client needed. And she didn't particularly need a load of beef protein. So she was kind of paying for something she didn't particularly need. And it's cheap. It worked out. It'll be a lot more cost effective just to buy the jar of organ meats. And I would also say, whenever if you are ever considering taking an organ meat, it has to be organic, because those
Yeah.
the liver and the kidneys are the filtration system for the animal. So if it's got a load of antibiotics that it's screening out, or if it's American, it would have growth hormone in it. We don't use that in the UK. Then that's all going to be trapped in those organs. And so you'll end up with a pretty hefty dose of toxins. So it's really
Mm,
important
mm.
to make sure they're always organic.
And I just want to throw in actually that you can also cook this, like I
Yeah.
have a friend who cooks tripe, which I was very hesitant to try, but actually was delicious. And she, whenever I go to her house, she's got a stew of all of these things, and I boil up, I make a beef bone broth, I get the shin bones of the beef, and with lots of marrow in. And yeah, I make a beef bone broth and then, turn it into a fur, and suddenly, you're getting what you need. There's lots of ways in which we can get this. These to me are really good nutrient dense foods that are appropriate for women moving from menopause to post-menopause. Should we talk about kefir as well? Because we're both big fans of milk kefir. It's just brilliant. I mean, there are studies that show it reduces cholesterol. What more do you want?
Yeah, I mean, it's something we talk about it on the natural menopause course, and it was something I had a sort of a failed attempt about 20 years ago, and I hadn't picked it up again since. And then recently I've started making it. It's kind of out of control. I've got so much of it, and my successful, but it's so powerful. So what I've noticed in having probably done about a month and a half of having it every day is that my gluten intolerance is improving, which I
Yeah,
totally
fabulous.
was not the reason I started this.
Hmm.
My intolerance manifests is when I eat gluten, I get a banging headache almost instantly. I don't really get the gut stuff. And so I'm kind of like, oh, I kind of weigh it up. And sometimes I think I'm just going to have that thing. I'm going to have that hot cross bun. It's Easter. It's once a year. Sure, I ate the hot cross bun and it didn't happen. That was this week.
That's amazing. That's really cool. And that's it, diversifying the gut flora. If the gut flora is diversified, then we should be able to tolerate all these foods. We shouldn't have a histamine issue, mast cell activation. The cure for that, and this is a big thing post-COVID again, partly because the gut has become really disordered. So there are studies that now show that the gut is become very bifidus bacteria depleted post-COVID, post-long COVID, and post-COVID vaccine, and that happened to me. And I haven't had the COVID vaccine. So COVID itself is having a big effect on the gut. And one of the things I needed to do was to regenerate the bifidus flora, and I did that with kefir. And so, the milk kefir to me is every day I have it, even if I have other fermented foods, that goes in the mix. And so with that eradication of essential gut flora, we cannot absorb the nutrients that we need. So when we diversify the gut flora and we can absorb nutrients efficiently, suddenly things like mast cell activation syndrome disappears, because the healing is in the gut. I mean, you mentioned the course. I'm just going to put the link to our new website, which is just for the course. I'm just going to pop that in the chat box. So do go off and have a look at that. So I'm just going to pop that in there. So we've created a new website, and there's a link directly from there to the course itself. And I'd love it. I'm just going to do this too. I'm going to put a link in for a YouTube channel. So we've created a YouTube channel, which is just us and menopause conversation. We're not putting other stuff in there. Have you got your own YouTube as well, Fiona?
I don't.
No, but yeah, so this is, and I would love it if you can hop on that YouTube link and subscribe, because the more let me just pop that there. I'm just going to send that into the chat box. Yeah, please take a moment to click on that link in the chat box and subscribe, because the more we get people subscribe, the more eyes we get on the page, the more we get messages out there like, what's in your bread? What do you need in your gut? So in order to absorb these nutrients. So I just saw a question in there from Helen about water kefir. It does not diversify the gut in the same way as far as I'm concerned. It just, the studies are on milk kefir. Yeah, and it's that breaks down the lactose. So it's something that, lactose intolerant people may well be able to work with quite easily. But any thoughts on that, Fiona, the water kefir versus
I mean, I
milk
suggest that when
kefir?
people can't do milk protein, and I'm like, this is a pretty good low cost way to bring fresh ferments into your home.
Yeah.
What I think some of the things you miss are milk kefir, the bone density increases you get. So the bone density, they in trials they've taken people and put them on quite a high dose of kefir and calcium, and the bone density improves so much with kefir. It actually like encourages your osteoblasts to start laying down new cells. So it's really good for osteoporosis. That said,
Mm.
that's kind of homemade versus shop bought. And when you start making your own and it gets really thick and really strong, you realize what a big difference there is
Yeah.
between the kind of wimpy stuff you get in the shop and when you start building up, your own, and you get a bit more tolerant to it day in and day out. So, I mean, I would say kefir is a superfood. If you can't do dairy,
Yeah.
then water's the next best thing. But if you are good with milk kefir, I'd definitely try it out. And so cheap.
Yes. Yeah, it's a great. I've just actually ordered. So I had some credit with Chuckling Goat, so I've just ordered some bottles of Chuckling Goat, and I'm kind of working my way through that over the next few weeks.
Yeah.
And I've also got some new kefir grains. Actually, where did you get your kefir grains from? Did
I
you?
just I got mine on Amazon, and they had a seller who was selling some lovely organic grains, and she'd been doing it for ages, so they seem pretty
Yeah,
good. Yeah.
yeah, that's where I got mine from actually originally. Lovely guy called Dom in Australia. So yeah, sometimes we have to search a little bit
Well,
for special
and some of
things,
the
but
things longevity wise as well, when they interview these incredibly old ladies, often in Eastern Europe, they have eaten their own homemade yogurt every day. So
mm,
they know that
mm,
when you look at into the guts of super livers longevity, they've got very high levels of bifido in there.
yeah.
So it really does.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So if that's been eradicated, there's only one way and it's down. So it's really fundamental. So yeah.
What else have you got on your
Hmm.
list of superfoods?
Ashwagandha, A for ashwagandha. I like it as an adaptogen. Very easy to get hold of, very calming, very soothing. Often recommend to you have it with some oat milk at the end of the day, just a level teaspoon and maybe a little bit of honey if you want a slightly sweeter taste. I find it calming, soothing, adaptogenic. It repaired. So I had an imbalance of a couple of different gut flora. So I had too much Campylobacter, too much Enterobacter, and Campylobacter, if we have too much of it, gives rise to anxiety. So
Mm.
interesting. So I took ashwagandha for 6 weeks, and that all helped defeat the Campylobacter. So, a lot of interesting things goes on. But of those kind of big name superfoods for menopause, I'm a fan. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's
Yeah.
great. I think compared to the other range of herbs that you may well see popping up in menopause supplements. So you'll see rhodiola, um, Dioscorea,
Donkey, we mentioned, didn't we?
yeah, wild
Yeah.
yam, trifolium, which is red clover.
Mm.
And these are all, and you'll see them kind of like just randomly mixed into menopause supplements. And I'm a bit unsure about the quantities. I'm a bit unsure about the why. These supplements are really these herbs are quite potent and they're quite specific. They're quite specific to what's happening in your adrenal glands and your yin levels. And I tend to use them singly or in combinations when I have very good Dutch test, which is a dried urine hormone test, when I can see what somebody needs from their adrenal profiles. But I'm not a fan of just them willy-nilly, I'll try a bit of this. Their herbs are strong. Um,
Yeah.
and even
Although of those, I was going to say I don't see that so many people using it, but red clover is
mm,
incredibly nutrient dense. So it's got a really great mineral profile. And actually, if it helped hot flushes, as long as you see a result, I would say I'm quite comfortable with that. Um, Something like maca, for instance, we haven't mentioned maca. I find that is often too heating, so it's about a loss of energy, a loss of drive, low fertility. So it's a very boosting herb, but or superfood, but it can be I think it can be too much at menopause. It's what
yeah,
I generally observe.
maca and tribulus are very
Mm,
testosterone raising, but if you can raise your testosterone through movement. That would
yeah,
be for me. If you take out, get yourself a couple of 2 kilo weights, and when you've got, you filled the dishwasher at night, spend 3 minutes doing a bit of weight work, and that will raise your testosterone in a way that your body is completely comfortable with.
mm,
Um, so yeah, I think they can be very, very strong, those. I mean, fair enough if
mm,
you have some testing done and your testosterone is bottoming out, but often
absolutely, yeah,
not testosterone. So yeah,
hmm,
they're
yeah,
strong, and they're very potent. And even with ashwagandha, if you have autoimmune, for example, ashwagandha is not a good
yeah,
idea. So
yeah,
these are great when they're prescribed professionally.
yeah.
Naturopath, herbalist, they absolutely know what they're doing. Chinese herbalists, I would follow those prescriptions, and I'm sure they can get them absolutely bang on. But it's just the more random nature that they're kind of Instagramming of
Yeah.
them. I'm not so keen on.
Yes. Yeah, and I would say, and that there are times when a client comes in and they've been prescribed something, and I'm questioning whether it's actually doing the job. So that's an assessment that we make, as a practitioner. But I mean, I definitely have had clients come in, and I think, well, I don't understand why they're taking that particular herb or superfood. Shizandra is one that I don't know, but is often prescribed. So it helps protect the liver, balance the blood sugar. It's a good immune support. It's a good memory restorer. So memory we associate with the liver. So if someone's memory is failing, we would be looking at the sort of dynamics of the liver. And on the course, looking at blood sugar and the action of the liver is where we start. So we look at how good is the liver at doing its job, and how balanced is the blood sugar. And in fact, that's where we start from in terms of our homeopathic remedies. So, I see a much kind of gentler and effective action from the homeopathy than putting in a superfood that might be too much for the system.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned blood sugar there. One of the big shifts around nourishing our bodies at menopause is down to the change in the way that our body manages our blood sugar. So
Mm,
we're in this state pre-menopause where our bodies are all about reproduction, and that's what they're prioritizing. When the body's
mm,
got too much blood sugar in our reproductive years, it's like, aha, I'm going to take that,
yeah.
I'm going to stash it in your hips and in your thighs, and I'm going to keep it there until you need it for breastfeeding or for pregnancy. And that's the body's like making
Yeah.
sure that you are reproductive ready. Then, when you go into menopause, the body's got a whole new set of priorities. It is prioritizing maintenance of your bones, maintenance of your muscles. It's prioritizing maintenance of your brain above everything. It's also really into longevity. So it's maintenance, longevity. So what the body does when you're in menopause is it keeps the blood sugar in the blood so that your brain can have easy access to it, and your brain is kind of fed continually, perhaps for the wisdom that we all get at menopause. We need that extra blood sugar. And now that's all great in primal times when everyone's eating sensibly, but nowadays with our kind of eating at weird times, eating weird stuff, throw in a bit of processed food, have a little, like binge of chocolate at 10 p.m., our blood sugar goes all over the place and it causes loads of menopause symptoms. And that's what's called, it's behind hot flushes, it's behind anxiety, it's brain fog, is literally sugars kind of like swamping your brain in this sort of sugary syrup. And so that's why this is such an important part of the course, is teaching women how to balance blood sugar in the modern world and with our modern diets, and what's going to serve us. So yeah, it's just really interesting that we it's not in culture that we need to eat differently at menopause, because our bodies are doing a totally different thing. They're doing exactly the right thing. I mean, I'm all for maintenance and longevity, um, especially now I don't have to do reproduction. So supporting what the body's doing is so important.
Mm, mm, absolutely. Um, some superfoods that we do like, we were talking about, because it's Easter, cacao and chocolate.
Yeah, and what
I
are you?
like them because they're, well, I find cacao quite calming for a lot of people. Coffee is too spiky, and wakes up the liver, hot flush, etc. Certainly, if drunk too late, and the quality of coffee doesn't, unless it's good quality coffee, is actually antioxidant. All those kind of questions. Whereas cacao is iron rich, magnesium rich, polyphenol rich. It's got a lot going for it, basically.
Yeah. And I think if you're finding yourself reaching for loads of chocolate, you are looking for the magnesium. That's what
Totally.
I
Always. Yeah.
I think you say that a few times before. So watch out if you're really getting chocolate cravings. What are you
Mm.
really craving? Is it the energy, or is it some of the, really positive minerals that are in
Yeah.
there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think dialing down that, craving for coffee and chocolate is really a sign, coffee or chocolate is really a sign to dial down the stress in your life. So much of menopause is about learning to deal with stress in our lives. And while, the bee pollen might help, we still have to really create some new boundaries, as well as, looking at that kind of maintenance aspect of what we're moving into metabolically, in terms of our life emotionally. It's often about, redrawing boundaries or drawing new boundaries that serve us better going forward, because we are going to be, we're going to be running. We're not running a marathon now to create babies, but we are going to be moving into the rest of our life at a different pace, and we want to have the right things on board.
Yeah, I think we're moving away from getting away with it, skipping meals, surviving. Oh, you're 22, you can survive on a packet of crisps and a Greg's pasty, and you're absolutely fine. And now we need to move into this very stable quality, not quantity, and really think about, you're absolutely right, not even just what we eat, but when we eat it and how we eat it. Do we eat it in a rushed, frenzy, where it's really hard to get any nourishment from it? Or are we eating in a calm way with our digestion, nice and
Mm,
relaxed, optimized and able to uptake? Or are we telling our body it's a state of panic, quick, you need to burn through this, don't hang on to any of it, we need to run. It's
mm,
move away from that and into a new, much more nourishing place.
yeah, yeah.
So chocolate, are you chocolating over Easter? What's your plan?
I thought it was funny. I was thinking about it last night, actually, not in relation to this. I was going to go and check if I've got all the ingredients I need to make some raw chocolate. So I really like raw chocolate. Brands like Ombar, for instance, is raw chocolate because that's basically cacao, and it's not being baked so much, and you've generally got a good quality sugar in it. So something like agave. So yeah, I've got a great recipe for making chocolate, and one of my favorites is with goji berries in it. So it's a bit chewy, and then it has a drop of rose oil in it, and it has a little sprinkle of rose petals on the top, so it looks pretty as well. So I was thinking, oh, I should make some slabs of that for my kids, even though they're adults, for Christmas, Easter rather. God, Christmas, Easter. So what about you? What are you chocolating over?
Yeah, I've never made my own, but I'm really into bougie chocolates, which are a raw,
Yeah. Hmm.
they're super easy to make. And I
Yeah.
think what we're facing in Britain anyway, and I suspect elsewhere in the world, is the downgrading of chocolate. It's
Oh,
they're
huge. Yeah.
this thing where they're moving chocolate to this thing called compound chocolate, which is basically kind of imitation chocolate.
Hmm.
And it's because the price of cocoa butter's gone up. So the companies are putting in a load of fats and fillers in replace of the cocoa butter. And that's even
Yeah.
quite things like Lindt, those the Lindor range, which are those like lovely red ones.
I hate that stuff.
Like, they're getting extra greasy because they're putting in all this palm
That's
oil
right. Yeah.
of the cocoa butter.
Yeah,
And
which drives the whole problem of ultra processed foods higher. So they can't even, I think they can't even call Cadbury's chocolate anymore, can they? I think it's just dairy milk.
yeah, well,
Isn't that right? Yeah.
chocolate flavor coating is now a thing instead of chocolate. So on those sort of, particularly on biscuits, that's happened because they've actually, removed any good stuff from it. So it can't even that can't be good chocolate.
It's
Yeah,
a nightmare, isn't it? So
yeah.
my cacao recipe is so easy, but I was warned of this. The company that I go to, Tree Harvest, she said last year, she said the cacao, the harvest's been bad. It's going to go up in price. So this is the fallout of that. We are in a natural world where things ebb and flow. Um,
Yes.
Flaxseed, I mentioned actually. We do look at, essential fatty acids, good quality oils. That's a conversation we have on the course. But flaxseed specifically can do some good repair, really rich in lignans. So that, we can tweak the oils that we're putting in for specific purposes, which I mean, definitely we need good quality fats. I'm my current favorite, which I'm going to put into the superfood bracket, is ghee. For my DNA profile, I do well on ghee. I've just read a fantastic article on it that somebody wrote in 1967. It was a big study in India that's really not had a lot of airplay, and it should have done, about how important, how helpful ghee is with heart disease. It's a very interesting study. I'm going to share that with you a bit later. But yeah, so I'm going to put in with the flaxseed and the good quality fats, cold pressed seed oils, um, grass fed butter, etc., etc.
Nice.
I'm going to ghee. Ghee is my new fave.
It was great. I mean, it's a really positive fat, cutting out fat. We need fats for our brain. One of the things when, if you start limiting fats, and statins are a way of actually they block the fats that you absorb into your brain.
Mhm.
And that's why you'll see so much cognitive decline if you've got, perhaps an elderly relative who's been put onto statins. They block the cholesterol, and your brain needs it. Your brain needs good fats.
Yeah,
It
yeah,
just need industrial processed seed oils. It needs good fats. And
yeah,
freshly ground flaxseed is amazing for that. It's amazing for breaking down your estrogen safely so that you're nice and your system's lovely and clean and that you've got fresh estrogen coming through. But it's also a really good way of getting your oils. And somebody's asked, is there a benefit in seed cycling using the moon cycle rather than the menstrual cycle? And yeah, absolutely, definitely. Seed
mm,
cycling is always a slight step beyond for me. I can never quite get my diary sorted. So I'm a sort of flax all month round and then an occasional bit of remembering to do some other seeds as well. But if you are somebody who can get down with seed cycling, then I think it's fantastic. It's a great way of
yeah,
yourself, splitting up your omegas because there are different omega oils in those seeds. And because we have a shadow of a cycle, even though our ovaries have dialed down, our body has been working on this cycle for years. And if you keep supporting it, it's a really lovely way to keep in tune with the moon and with, the planet as well. So, yeah.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I'm with you. I'm very similar. I'm not, I'm kind of a long way past menopause, but and there are some aspects of cycle. I mean, we are coming up to a full moon that might explain, me kind of feeling a little bit edgy. Not sure. I think it's probably a day in the recording studio, but one other one that I spotted Yeah, and then there's one more I mentioned before the end was whey powder, protein powder, whey powder. You wanted to talk about that, and I was like, I like that. I put it in a bulletproof coffee. Actually, love it.
Oh, right. Yeah. Protein powders are obviously they are another huge influencer thing, and you go into the health food shop and the shelves are groaning with protein powder. If you've got a teenage son, they are coming home and like drinking vast amounts of it. But it is actually something that, particularly in older women, is really standing up in the tests. And the way that it serves us in menopause is that it helps us with muscle retention. So if you are training, it's fantastic post training. It's a fantastic way. It supports bone loss as well. So it's
Hmm.
really nutritious for your bones. If you're not good with whey protein, there are some options. There's protein isolate, which has got less lactose in it, or there is the beef protein powder, which I've started having in smoothies, and it has got a little bit of a kind of slight tang to it. Slight, it doesn't taste like beef, but a slight aftertaste. But other than that, it's pretty good. You just really, whatever your protein powder preference is, check that it's lab tested. When you see protein powder being added to, bars and crisps and all this stuff, it's kind of gone crazy and it's in everything. Mostly they're putting in
Hmm.
really low grade stuff there. So fine if you're buying a nice pack from the health food shop and you've checked out the ingredients and it's from a good brand. But when it's mixed in with other stuff, you lose that control and it can have a lot of heavy metals in it, like a lot. So, but it's funny that it would never have been on a list of superfoods 5 years ago.
No,
But that
exactly.
when we, as menopausal women, muscle is our longevity hack. It not only
Mhm.
produces testosterone, which I said before, but it keeps us mobile. It keeps us strong. It keeps us fit, and the source of our energy. All our energy cells are in the muscle. So when we move, we give ourselves energy. They have, the cells have more energy than the sort of the surface of the sun. There's some amazing new biology into what happens in ATP in our muscle cells
Mhm.
production. So really focusing on muscle, such a great way to stay well and vibrant. So yeah, I
And
love that.
I just wanted to, well, first of all, I should put in one thing we are doing very soon, which if you haven't signed up for, please do. And you fancy, well, as long as you fancy it, is we're going to do a 4-day natural menopause kickstart. So that starts on April 13th. And it will be based in a Facebook group. We'll
I'll
do a
just
chat every day and answer questions, and we'll have some trigger points to do something to make a difference.
yeah.
And we've got some
It,
prizes. Yeah, some good
It's
things
just going to be a
coming to
really
us.
nice way. It's spring. It's if you have been working with us on menopause stuff for a while and perhaps you feel like you've lost your way a bit, we all get out of our habits. So
Yeah.
what we're going to do is just really establish 4 days worth of easy, healthy habits. The whole thing is completely free. So yeah, I think it's going to be a really good spring reset, set our intention for the rest of the year to be well and vibrant. And I've just popped the link in the chat box there. Oh, you put it in as well.
Cool.
We put
Yeah.
it
Yeah,
in
I
there.
think we both had a copy of it. But yeah, do come and join us. So we've got lots of people signing up for that. I think it's about 45 people on it so far, which is great. And yeah, we're just gonna, and I think, for me, it feels like quite a celebration as well, actually. So we've not done that before, and we have got the course coming up. So do take a look at that first link that we shared. If you're thinking about the course, I had a question from somebody saying, why is it more expensive in America? It's because we need to send out remedies, and unfortunately, postage costs a bit more to America, but it does get there. We do send remedies on a tracked and signed for service. And somebody else asked, she said, I thought it was great, actually. I'm just going to read out her questions. Fiona, while I look for those, do you want to fill in with a bit
Yeah,
about the
on the course
course?
as well, there's an early bird offer on the price at
Yes.
the moment.
Yeah.
So there is £50 off, and the link is on our website for the course.
Yeah.
Just going to go back to some of the questions we missed. Is the Dutch test included in the menopause course? So the menopause course is £359, and that includes homeopathic remedies. It includes a discount for supplements, and it includes the remedies being delivered to you, plus all of the information, videos, WhatsApp group, etc. It doesn't include a Dutch test. I can do Dutch tests privately if you want to come to me. They are a Dutch test, I think, is 18 pages long when you get the results, and it really needs analysing. It costs £400 for a Dutch test, so you can see why it wouldn't be included in the course price at that amount. It is a fantastic test if you're for anyone considering a natural menopause, and it's a fantastic test for anyone taking HRT because they can see what's happening to their HRT and how safe they are with it.
Mm.
Some other questions were, is the kefir easy to make? Oh my gosh, yes, so easy to
So
make.
easy.
Because I've kept so much sauerkraut, and pickling things has never worked. And if I can do it, then anyone can
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah. It's so easy. You just just train it. It's so easy.
And yes, please share the Kickstart event with anybody. We're welcoming, we just really want to support women all over the world. So yeah, we share it with anybody who would love a spring boost. And yeah, they can be on HRT, they can not be on HRT, they can be pre-meno, peri, post. The advice that we're going to share on it is relevant for everybody. And there is,
Yeah.
a little challenge every day, and as you said, some competition or two. So it should be quite good fun and really pretty
Yeah.
easygoing.
Yeah. See, this person asked, this is about for the 6 week menopause course. She said, um, will kidney and liver support be covered in a good level of detail so that we understand how they are impacted and how we can support them? And the short answer is yes. In my point about it was compared to doing like a two, listening into this for 45 minutes, or doing even a kind of 2 hour menopause course or workshop that you can, go back and kind of reread and have a look at it. The difference about the course, 6 weeks, is we meet up every week. Every week you get a video to watch in your own time, on specific areas. So we look at detox, we look at nutrition, we look at hormonal balance, we look at all the different nuances of all the different symptoms we can have in menopause and solutions for those. So you can pick a mix and go, well, I get that, but I don't get that. And I've got a friend who's got that. Maybe she should be doing this course too. So within that time we have together, there's a lot of scope to listen as often as you want to the pre-recorded material, to come in and ask questions about what you've just listened to go back to that material and ask some new questions. And we have a WhatsApp group that goes with the course and is live for 6 months. So 6 months is a lot of time of menopause, during which you're going to experience, all sorts of things, the stress of a family holiday, a easy time, a quiet time, a time to reflect and share. It's the other great thing about the WhatsApp group on the course is the sharing just blows me away some days. It's so lovely. And I came across this. Somebody asked me for a meeting the other day, and she just struck me by saying, "Women thrive in community," and I was like, "Wow, she's so right. Women need community." And men get by in a completely different way. So we know that that's what we've created on the course, and it's. I know some of you are in the room. It's just so nice, and I love the fact that you come back and want to ask questions, and yeah, it's wonderful.
Okay, I'm just answering a couple of quick questions. Good beef organ supplement, Ape Nutrition are my favorite because they are organic. Um, and I've just put in the Kefir post, if anybody, you can get those on the Ape Nutrition from Natural Dispensary. And here is our discount code and our name if you want to sign up for an account at Natural Dispensary. So they have the Ape Nutrition beef organ capsules, which was
That's really good to know because yeah, this friend of mine that was asking about said H nutrition. Yeah, brilliant.
AP,
Yeah, ape. Oh,
ape.
ape. Yes, I've seen it actually. Ape, as in the monkey, cheeky monkey. All right. So any more questions come in?
I think that's
What's
everybody.
more?
There is, as I
Cool.
said, the Kefir, there is actually a Kefir starter kit on Natural Dispensary as well. Or if you
That's what
want,
I've just ordered to boost mine. I felt mine needed a boost actually after many years. It just needs a little. I might come. What I might do, Fiona, because this is the other great thing, is next time we meet up, is ask you for a little jar of yours to add to mine and just can talk to each other.
yes, absolutely. I
Yeah.
really to find someone to give them to. So
Yeah. Or Dom, the guy I got them from in Australia, sadly is no longer around, but he was like Kefir king, before it kind of Sandor Cats and Dom Kefir in Australia are the kind of old guys. Anything fermented, yeah, really good. So I just wanted to end on one more little thing. And anything you want to add, Fiona?
no, I'm good.
Cool. So right now, because I went out into my backyard, I've got a patio garden, and my lemon balm is going bonkers. It's just loving the weather we've got right now. I could do with a bit more warmth myself. I'm hoping that's coming. But lemon balm is really lovely. Just a few leaves of lemon balm in hot water as a nighttime drink. Really calming, soothing, much better than worrying about something like we talked about L-theanine. Yeah, I don't. Lemon balm's just lovely, very English, very easy to grow. Yeah, so that's my last superfood to throw into the good corner.
Yeah, it's very well tested on in terms of
Yeah, it
production. It
is.
really
Yeah.
tests incredibly well alongside, these things are really potent. And I just say put a lid on it. Put a lid on that lemon balm tea when you've made it to keep
Yes.
the
Yeah.
natural potency in
Keep
there.
the yeah.
Always saying,
Absolutely. And there are others that are soothing for nighttime, but they're much more powerful. So things like valerian, some people have a bad time on passiflora. I haven't yet had anybody that's complained about the lemon balm.
somebody just asking about the thyroxine medication. Uh,
Hmm.
things like levothyroxine. I didn't know there was a specific reaction because L-theanine doesn't really work on those sort of thyroid markers, but levo is all about timing. I'm trying to work out what it could make you feel quite anxious. I guess it could be
Hmm.
you. I'm not sure.
Ultimately, those medications stress the heart. That's why I would want to avoid them. But also an imbalanced thyroid will. So, yeah, I mean, there isn't really a medication that doesn't have a side effect of some sort,
Yeah, and
unfortunately.
the prescriber has said don't do it, and this is a prescriber who understands what your levo or your thyroid medication is doing. Then I would follow that
Yeah,
advice because they
yeah.
know much more
And if
about.
you've had surgery, then chances are you are going to have to take some kind of synthetic thyroid medication. I certainly have lots of clients who fall into that bracket, and sometimes they can switch between levothyroxine, which is synthetic, and pig's thyroid, and they will feel well on pig's thyroid gland. But find after a while, a little bit like that, I mentioned with the maca, it kind of raises the energy so much that, the thyroid's a very regulatory organ. So we have to listen in carefully. And I've had people on the same dose of levothyroxine from one brand and been put onto the same dose of another brand and manifest a lot of thyroid symptoms. So, it's a subtle organ, constantly reading the environment on many levels.
Yeah, watching out for danger.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, it's big, big topic. But yeah, good. What a nice session.
Yeah, thank you so much, everybody, for coming. Those of you
Yes, thank you.
coming, everyone else, thank you so much for coming back again. So
Mm,
hopefully, someone
absolutely.
is the Facebook 4-day group. So we'd love to see you there.
Oh, thanks for the little reaction. I'm going to do. There you go. I'm going to do. That's so cute. Yeah, thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening, your day, wherever you are in the world. Bye for now.
Thank you.
Bye.